Hey, let's talk about vibe coding. Obviously, there have been lots of conversations over the past month or two about vibe coding and what it means for the software industry, but I haven't made a video in about a month, actually a little more than a month. And I went on a very nice trip to Japan, came back, got super sick, and now I'm back. And now everybody is just talking about vibe coding. That's literally all I see on YouTube, on LinkedIn. I'm not on X, but I'm sure it's all over that as well. And so I wanted to talk about vibe coding because it's been on my mind quite a bit the past couple of weeks. And I want to talk specifically from a software engineer's perspective who is building SaaS applications. What are the implications of vibe coding? Even though this is kind of a new trend, I don't really think it's going anywhere. And if anything, these AI agents are only going to get better, and it's only going to allow more folks to get into this space. So yeah, I've definitely got some thoughts about what this means for myself and my business and the kind of things that I want to do going forward. So let's just hop into this. I'm trying to organize my thoughts on this video into bad things that are probably going to happen to me in terms of my business and building SaaS applications as a software engineer, and then some things that I'm like a little bit more hopeful about. So I'll throw those in at the end of the video. But let's start with the bad stuff. And I apologize in advance if I sound like an old man telling the kids to get off his lawn throughout this video, but I'm trying to be as positive as possible. Obviously, there's a lot changing in the space right now, but just trying to look at the facts as well. So the first kind of bad thing that is coming of vibe coding in terms of being a software engineer who builds SaaS applications is the barrier to entry into this space is essentially gone. Previously, if you wanted to build a software application, you wanted to build a SaaS, you had to have either the skills needed to build that software, or you needed some money so you could go find somebody to build it for you. And now, obviously, those scenarios still exist, but there's a third option now where you can just prompt an AI, and in a couple days, you might have a fully working SaaS application. So obviously, that was an advantage that I had previously, where I didn't even have to go pay anybody. I just had the skills and the knowledge to build the thing myself. But obviously now, lots of folks are going to have that same ability if they have access to one of these AI agents like Cursor. So obviously the barrier to entry is a lot lower now. That means anybody who has an idea, that I guess that is another thing that you have to have. You have to have an idea. But now anybody with no technical knowledge who has an idea can potentially have a SaaS application just after a few days of vibe coding. So the competition is higher, right? There are more people who are able to build things and ship products, which brings me into my second point of not so good things in terms of myself being a software engineer in this space is I truly think that the advantage, which was previously with software engineers, obviously they were the ones who were able to build these things. Now that the advantage lies with folks with more of a business marketing background over software engineers in terms of building and selling SaaS applications, which is an insane pivot that something like that could happen in the course of like 2 months. Because if you think about it, the average software engineer who wants to build SaaS application and sell software is not good at marketing. They may be able to think of the ideas, they may be able to build the thing, and they might build it really well, but they probably can't sell it. And obviously that was a problem before, but now there's an influx of people who are maybe, like I said, coming from a business or marketing standpoint. These folks have good ideas too. But previously, maybe they needed a bunch of capital in order to fund their project, and maybe that was out of their budget. I will say no-code tools have been around, right, for the past 5 to 10 years, but even that had its own set of limitations, where if these people had even like semi-complex ideas, they might not have been able to translate it into a fully functioning application just via a no-code tool. But now they can. So if you think about this and you have two products, one is built by Claude via vibe coding by someone who doesn't know how to code at all, but has a business marketing background, and the other is built by a software engineer. It is very possible that the quality of these two products are going to be different, obviously. You would really hope that the software engineer's product would be better than the vibe-coded one, but they might not be that far off. And most likely, they won't be so significantly far off that it would make a huge deal to the potential customer down the line. But a vibe-coded one potentially could have been built a lot faster if arrogant software engineer like me, wants to build the whole thing from scratch, while a vibe-coded one is built in 2 to 3 days. Now you have someone with a business background, a marketing background, who knows how to sell products to consumers, who has an app that is similar enough to the software engineer's one, and they have it sooner, and then they can go to market faster than you, and then they can sell better than you. Like I said, the tides have just shifted so drastically, so dramatically, so quickly. It's kind of unbelievable to even fathom. So I will say that there is some nuance to everything that I'm saying. And dang, I really do sound like an old person right now. I swear I'm only in my late 20s, but vibe coding just makes me feel like I'm in my 50s right now. But man, things are just changing so quickly. Anyways, like I said, there is some nuance to everything that I'm saying. And I want to get into this third bad thing that is potentially going to come from vibe coding, especially bad in the context of software engineers building SaaS applications. And that is customer sentiment really has the potential to become extremely tainted when it comes to SaaS applications. I think the average consumer knows what to expect when they purchase a piece of software. They know the very bare minimum of how a software or a piece of software should operate and how it should feel. It's the overall quality of a software application. And I think we're definitely going to get to a point where there are these influx of vibe coded applications hitting the market. Consumers will be interacting with these websites and apps and maybe even pay money to use them. And consumers don't know about vibe coding. Maybe they have some kind of knowledge about everything that's going on with AI, but under the hood, they're not going to have any idea if this was built by someone who's been writing software for the past 20 years or if it's built by an AI in 3 days. Like they literally have no idea. What they will be able to tell, though, is if that expected experience that they are used to suddenly isn't there anymore. So I'm talking about extremely buggy, slow applications, maybe with some kind of security vulnerabilities. Maybe they're not able to log into their accounts correctly, or just things feel wrong. They encounter bugs and errors all the time in this piece of software that they expected some level of quality from and are not receiving. Don't get me wrong, software engineers can write bad software too, but I think the number of applications that are written by vibe coders, which are not going to be high quality applications, is going to be higher than you would see from a software engineer building something. And where this becomes a potentially huge problem is just customer sentiment around software applications. Again, it could be websites, it could be mobile applications, but I think if a consumer starts to have all of these bad experiences with different types of software, they might get turned off from buying them in the future. I can kind of equate this to if you ever followed the drop shipping phase, where people would go and source products from China and just have horrible customer service in terms of shipping times and just product quality. Maybe they would buy this product off a Facebook ad and just have a really bad experience where they were just so turned off and they would never buy anything from a Facebook advertisement ever again. And so, yeah, truly, I foresee a future where it's definitely possible that there are an influx of products on the market, and with this there are an influx of poor quality products on the market, and then you have an increase in customer wariness and a potential aversion to wanting to buy and interact with software applications and mobile applications. All of these things have the potential to create a pretty negative effect for folks like myself who are software engineers and just trying to build and sell software applications online. So like I said, I don't like being super negative. I absolutely do think that there are amazing things coming in the AI world and just code generation in general. So let's talk about some of the things that I actually am excited for in terms of vibe coding and what it could potentially do to improve my processes going forward. Well, the first major thing is I have to adapt. And I think anybody who is a software engineer who is building SaaS applications, and I think this applies to from a professional sense as well, but I think I'll save that for another video. If you are building software applications and you are a software engineer and you are not taking advantage of things like Cursor and code generation, you are going to get left behind. I really do believe that we're at the point where it's like adapt or fail. And I do think that is exciting because as software engineers, we will still have a leg up on folks who don't understand the code at all. And if you see it as a way to streamline your processes, maybe build features faster, instead of just completely vibe coding and blindly throwing code into an editor and deploying it and hoping that it works. I think as software engineers, we will absolutely have the leg up on folks who don't understand what they are creating. We'll be able to find and fix bugs better. We'll be able to think about security best practices and making sure that our users are safe. We'll likely be able to deploy things faster and more reliably and probably save money on hosting fees and things like that because we know all of the options out there. So if you just see these AI agents as like, a buddy that's just with you hanging out and it can increase your workflow speed and productivity, I think that's a huge advantage that we'll be able to have in this space. So unfortunately, I only got one more thing that I'm hopeful for and happy about at the moment with all this vibe coding stuff. And that is these AI agents are good. They're good, but they're not great. You definitely see folks running up huge bills from all of the code that they've generated. And I do still think that there are things that us as software engineers are going to be able to build more reliably than these AI agents can at the moment. I do say, though, at the moment, because, of course, they keep on getting better. So if you're able to kind of lean into something that you think you can do that maybe these AI agents can't do as reliably, that could be a good place to start at the moment. But just know it's probably going to catch up to you like very soon. All right, that's all I really wanted to talk about. I don't really want to talk about it anymore because, yeah, it's just been on my mind a lot lately. Especially, I started building SaaS applications like 6 to 8 months ago, and I think this whole landscape has kind of gotten flipped upside down right now. The technology industry and the software engineering industry as a whole is always rapidly changing. This is not a new thing. We're always moving at light speed in this industry. So everything that you can do to adapt, you kind of just have to. Learn as much as possible, be as open as possible to incorporating new things into your workflow. And truly, I think that is the only way that we can stay afloat in this market at the moment. So to answer the question from the title of this video, my dreams are not dead. I'm definitely still going pretty hard on building software and doing my best to learn how to market and sell software to consumers as well. So if you're into that kind of content, definitely subscribe. You can see all of my failures and things that I'm doing wrong, and hopefully you won't make those same mistakes as well. If you have any more concerns or maybe things that you are positive and hopeful about vibe coding and how they pertain to building SaaS as a software engineer, definitely leave them down in the comments below. I would love to either wallow in our self-pity in the comments down below, or maybe you have some hopeful news, and I would love to read about that as well. So that's all I got for this one. Hope you have a great rest of the day. Really appreciate you watching all the way through to the end of this video. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.